Hi guys, welcome back to part 5 of this build website from scratch. In this part what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add in the navigation, and I'm going to use Dreamweaver's built-in Spry widget, which essentially what it is it's an automated, it automatically adds in a navigation bar that's controlled by JavaScript and has its own CSS style sheet and everything. So it's quite a powerful little widget. You don't need really to know too much about the program and end of things. It adds everything in itself. All you need to do is manipulate what menus you want to show up, the names of them, and so forth. So in order to insert this, what we need to do is we need to make space here in the navigation, and what we're going to do is we're going to add it just in here in the gap where I've made a gap here. So you need to place your cursor inside in the area where you want to place it, and then we're going to go into the menu here to the insert section and Spry, and down the bottom is Spry Menu Bar. Now when you click on that, you're given the option to insert a horizontal or a vertical navigation bar. For these purposes I'm going to insert a horizontal one. It suits my needs more here, but the same rules apply to the horizontal one as they do to the vertical one anyways. So in terms of styling them, as I said, the same rules apply. So if you go ahead and click OK, Dreamweaver automatically inserts the navigation bar in here. As you can see, this is the actual navigation bar here up to that point. So what it is it's created an unordered list with an ID of menu bar 1, and it's also given it a class of menu bar horizontal. So what I'm going to do is, and in order for a lot of this to show up, what we have to do is we have to save our new document first. So if we just click save, and then we get a little pop-up menu saying that these things need to be created. So what it's going to create, it's going to create the JavaScript that allows it to run. It's going to create the little GIF. It's like a little down arrow that shows up on the navigation. It's going to create a CSS document as well, and also the little right arrows. So it's going to create them. So once you click on OK, it'll automatically create those. And if we refresh, you can see here what it's done is it's created a Spry Assets folder, and what it's done is it's added in a JavaScript. All the documents that just showed up there, it's created them in its own little folder here. So after saving that, now what we can do is we can view it in the browser, and I'm just going to save that again. We can preview it in the browser, and as you can see, there's our little navigation bar. It's quite easy to manipulate, to change the values inside of each of these, or add or remove any little items that you want to it. So what we'll do is we'll go back in here and we'll look at it this way. But the easiest way to do it is if you go back into design view, and you see, actually I'll go into split view, and if we select the little blue tab on the menu bar here, it shows up in the properties window below here, and from here you can change any items that you want to change. So say for example we want to change the text. This is the text that appears within the actual menu, so we want to change that to home. So you type in home and you press enter, and it changes. Now for the purposes of this website, I only need five buttons all across the top. So at the last item here, you can either add or remove items from this by using the plus and the minus buttons. So I want to add in a fifth one. So that's how you do that. So what we have here is, on this one we have a sub-menu that's appearing on it. So if I save that now and I'll show you, if we go in and view it in the browser, we have a sub-menu that's appearing here. I don't need those, not for the purposes of this anyway, and it's not going to make a whole lot of difference, because making changes to these menus is the very same as making changes to any of the other ones, so they're not really necessary for our purpose for this tutorial. So if we go back into Dreamweaver again now, and I'll show you how to remove those. So again, you click on the little blue tab there, and what we want to do is we want to remove this. So I click on that and just click on minus, minus, and minus again. So that removes the drop down menu from the home. So the other one that has it is item 3. So if we go to item 3, and as you can see there, item 3.3. So if we go minus, minus, it removes it from there. And if we go minus again, you get a little prompt to say that you're going to delete all of its children. These would be the parent ones, and these would be the children. So you click on OK, and you're removing them all. Now if you do decide down the line you want to add in another one, it's just a matter of selecting whatever one you want to add it to and just clicking the plus, and it creates the menu here. So that's pretty much that set up as I need it, or as for this tutorial anyway. So file, save as, and index.html. And if we preview that in the browser now, you can see that all of the sub-menus have disappeared. So what we need to do now is we need to go in and style that. And this can be a little bit tricky to find, but you'll get it through trial and error anyways. But the Spry Menu CSS shows up here in your CSS pane, your styles pane. Both your normal CSS shows up as well as your horizontal shows up. So for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just going to make some small subtle changes to this. We'll probably style it a little bit more detailed maybe further along in the tutorial, but just for the purposes of this tutorial I'm just going to show you how to make the changes and change the color and change maybe the font size and what have you, and different things. But to find them, if you go through each of the individual assets or rules for the CSS document for the Spry menu, you can see the properties appear down in the properties pane here. So that's where we can make our changes in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit it directly from the CSS properties window here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to change the font size. So I want to increase that font size there. That's so where we find those details is if we go to the UL menu bar horizontal, which is the one that's selected here. And as you can see, it's font size 100%, which means that it's going to stay at the same size that's set throughout your document, which is generally 16 pixels. So I'm going to increase that font size to 120%. So you can click return and you can see the difference here. The font size has increased. So I want to make it bold. So for that property here, there is no bolding here, so what we can do is we can click on the add a property there, and we can give it the parameter of font weight, font hyphen weight. And as you can see, if we click on the menu there, drop down arrow, the font weight is one of the options, and you also then automatically get taken to the next for the value for that property, and you can select bold from there, and as you can see, it's given them it's bolded them. So if we save that and again refresh the browser, you can see the difference between the two. So the next thing we want to do after that is we want to change the colors, the background colors. So if we go into, there's a few areas that need to be changed in here, because there's a couple of states for this. If you notice in the in the example here in the browser, you can see that there's a grey background now, but the second you hover over it changes to a blue background, and the color of the text changes from the grey color to the white color. So what we need to do is we need to go in and we need to change those parameters to suit whatever our color scheme is. So what we're going to do is, the first one is the UL menu horizontal A, which essentially is the unordered list with the class of menu bar horizontal, and it's the A, or the actual link itself. So we're styling the links, the individual links here. So as you can see, we have a background color of grey, and we have a foreground color, a background color of grey and a text color of black. So I want to change those green to match the green in the logo. I want the background color, I don't want any background color at all in it. Now what I may do is I may change the background of the navigation bar later at some stage. So what I'm actually going to do here first and foremost is I'm going to change that property to transparent, and it's just a matter of typing it in, and as you can see it comes up with a no color in it. So the next thing I want to do is I want to change this. Now if you know your hex code, you can just go ahead and type it in there, or you can click in the middle of the little box there and a little eyedropper appears, and you can select the color from there. So that's automatically saved it in and put the hex code for the color that we want to use in. So if we scroll down, we can see the background has disappeared. It's now the white background, and the text has changed color to the color that matches our logo color. So what we want to do now is we want to, I'll display that in the browser now and just show you exactly what it looks like in the browser. Now you'll notice one thing that's missing from this. It still has the blue background, so I want to take that out of it. So what we do then is we move on to the next property, which is the hover state. Now for the hover state, I don't want any color to appear. So what we're going to do again here is we're just going to type in transparent and hit return, and it removes the color. Now the hover state is, I'd like to change that maybe to a grey color, so that when it hovers over we get maybe a darker grey than what we're using for the background. So what we can do again here is if we click in the middle of the color palette, and if we give it maybe a darker grey like that. So and if we move along to the next one here as well, this is a similar one for the sub menu, and generally you want to keep the two of these at the same. You don't want your sub menu hover state to be different from your main menu hover state, so it's always good to change the properties of those together. So again, we're just going to change that to transparent, and we're going to change this to the color that we had there, which is 333. So if we save that document now, and again we refresh the browser, and you'll see straight away the text changed color, but we have no color for the background. The color isn't changing for the background. It may not be that obvious, but it is working. What we can also do as well is we can change, as I said, we change the submenu visible, which means that if we had a submenu as part of our menu bar, what would happen is the hover state will be taken out of that as well, so you'll be applying it to the entire menu bar. There are other parameters that you can go in and change. You will find them yourself by trial and error, but they would be the more common ones that you would be using. That would be the first one there that we changed, the UL horizontal A. That would be the first one that you would be changing. As I said, the next, they'd be the three obvious ones: the A hover, and the horizontal A menu submenu visible. They'd be the main ones. And of course your font size, which we changed to 120%. So that's pretty much that set up. Now just to show you how to add links to it. Now these are list items here. That's your opening list item, and that's your closing list item tag. And contained within each of those list items, you have what you call an ahref, which is a link. That's your HTML tag for your link. So you have an opening and you have a closing link tag, and contained within those two tags is the text that appears in the links. Now these links themselves, they don't actually lead anywhere at the moment. That's how you signify a blank link. But what you can do is you can type in the name of the page that's going to be displayed when you click on that link, and for the purposes of this one here, it's going to be index.html. So if I save that now and we view it in the browser, it won't be obvious straight away. If you click on home, you see that the page has actually refreshed itself. So that's the situation with that. And as I said, it's quite easy to go around and make changes. We can go in and we can change these titles to reflect the page names that we're using, and again we can change the links, which are the little hashtag here. And again, if you wanted to add, as I said already, if you wanted to add in another sub-menu there, you can do it that way. As you can see, it's showing up in here, but as I said, I don't need it for the purposes of this. Now what we might also want to do is we might want to maybe make these the width of the entire, so that they stretch across the entire navigation bar. And how you do that is you can set the width of these. These are set to 8 EM, and I'll give you an example here of how to do it. We'll go through here. There's your width. It's set to 8 EM. So if we change that to 9 EMs, you can see each of the things get wider and spread out. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I think we're just going to leave it as it is. And what we might actually do maybe is we might maybe add in a different color for the background here for the navigation, and we'd change the properties or the parameters of the text color again, just to kind of show you how easy it is to customize it. So if we go back in and change the background color on the navigation, we have it set to white here. If we go in and change it, actually 1 second, I'm just going to bring up this again. We change the navigation color in the background from the white to that green. Click on apply. Now I know you're thinking, as it stands now, you're not going to see any of the text, but what I'm going to do is we're going to change the values of the text as well. So instead of having it that color there, what I'm actually going to have it is, I'm going to have it white for the normal color, and then for the hover state we can change, actually that's, I don't know why I did that. Let's leave that as transparent. And the text color, we'll change it to maybe a lighter grey. And the same for the next value here, we'll change it to the lighter grey as well. So if we save that and again view it in the browser, and you'll notice the navigation bar is all green now and the text is white, and our hover state, it's pretty obvious that it changes color. So that's pretty much it in terms of the navigation bar. As I said, it's fully customizable, and you can add in as many sub-menus on it, and even sub-menus for the sub-menus as you want. As I said, that's the horizontal one. The vertical one is pretty much the same idea. So and generally with the height of these is about 42 pixels. So if you want to make your navigation height 42 pixels. Now that's also dependent on the size of your text. If you have your text set for 130%, You may have to fiddle with the height of the navigation bar just to get it to fit in, but for my purposes the 120% is 42 pixels and it's just the right size. So that's it for now, guys. I'm going to leave it at that for the navigation, and in the next one, then next tutorial, we're going to look at maybe adding some texts and images to the main content of the website. Please, guys, subscribe and like, and if you have any suggestions or any criticism or anything like that, be sure to leave comments below. Thanks for watching. Bye.